Somebody try family steal the election. Somebody try family steal this election. The media's covering it up. The media's covering it up. Somebody try family steal this election. We want our freedom for the world. You're stealing that. Somebody try family steal this election. The media's covering it up. The media's covering it up. Somebody try family steal this election. Give us our freedom to a body. You're stealing that.
Phony polls, I have to call them phony polls. Election interference, fake polls, suppression polls. If you count the legal case where they're trying to steal an election, they're trying to rig an election, winning all the key locations, the observers have been kept far away. So far that people are using binoculars very far away. Votes have been in by election day, and they weren't. Votes are coming in after election day. Votes have been in by election day, and they weren't. Votes would be in by election day.
Somebody try family steal this election. The media's covering it up. The media's covering it up. Somebody try family steal this election. We want our freedom for the world. You're stealing that. Somebody try family steal this election. The media's covering it up. The media's covering it up. Somebody try family steal this election. Give us our freedom to a body. You're stealing that.
Wow! All the networks! Those mail-in ballots could have been for anybody. Will Smith's father voted here twice since he died. Walden, oh my goodness, kind of funny that there was fraud. One of the things that does involve fraud is not making it possible to inspect. Gee, what happened? Come on, don't be ridiculous. All the networks thought Biden was going to win by 10%.
Votes have been in by election day, and they weren't. Votes are coming in after election day. Votes have been in by election day, and they weren't. Votes would be in by election day.
We want our freedom for the world. You're stealing that. Somebody try family steal this election. The media's covering it up. The media's covering it up. Somebody try family steal this election. Give us our freedom to a body. You're stealing that.
What the fuck?
We should go back to a position in the filibuster that existed just when I came to the United States Senate 120 years ago. So the best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, I want to get things done. I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway, I want to get things done to be able to, I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway, I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done. People's lives are changing, so let's see what happens. All I know, I've been hired to solve problems. What we do, there's no easy answer. I don't even think about it. I have no idea. Oh, come on, I don't know, to be clear. What are we doing? And by the way, but here's the deal. If you like to be able to, well, I'm good look. Anyway, I want to get things done. I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway, I want to get things done to be able to, I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway, I don't know where you guys come from, man. I've never been able to plan 3.5 years ahead. And here's the deal. Help is here and hope is on the way. Well, look, I guess I should be flattered. People are coming because I'm the nice guy. And I'd like to think it's because I'm a nice guy, but it's not. It's because of what's happened every year. Let me say one other thing on this. Okay, where am I here? Let me see. Anyway, I want to get things done. I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway, I want to get things done to be able to, I want to get them done. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you, anyway.
This is like a comment.
What the fuck?
Well, it's about time. I'm here. I am the one. Raise your voice. I'm the Jubilee. Ken Copeland, you pay attention to me. Stop it. I'm 83 years old. Get up. Be careful about what you say I am. I'm your financier. I'm your supernatural debt cancellation. I am. Why, Brother Copeland, would you think a poor person should give? Absolutely. I'm a new person. I'm a new man. I'm a new woman. Oh, I like that. I'm a new boy. I'm a new girl. Oh, I confess that I'm here. I am the one. Raise your voice. I'm the Jubilee. Ken Copeland, you pay attention to me. Stop it. I'm 83 years old. Get up. You go around saying I'm healed. But you hypocrite, you're not healed. You're just saying that trying to get somebody to give into your ministry. I am. It's not time to stop tithing. And tonight we are going to invest in this ministry. I'm a new person. I'm a new man. I'm a new woman. Oh, I like that. I'm a new boy. I'm a new girl. Oh, I confess that I'm here. I am the one. Raise your voice. I'm the Jubilee. Ken Copeland, you pay attention to me. I am. Put it in reverse. Raise your voice when I've released that power. Whoa! I'm here. I am the one. Raise your voice. I'm the Jubilee. Ken Copeland, you pay attention to me. Stop it. I'm 83 years old. Get up.
What the fuck, bro?
You guys hear me? Anybody hear me? Well, let's really fucking scroll down. Shit.
WTF Bros のケン・コーポランドファンコラボリミックスへようこそ。
There's some comments on this website. Doesn't seem like everything's working with
COVID-19. 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 I'm blown. The wind of God.
like it's fucking
From the state of Washington to the state of Maine to Brownsville, Texas, and the tip of Florida. Today, we speak to this atmosphere. Today, burn this thing. This virus hates heat. You just burn this thing. Burn. I call for a supernatural heat wave straight out of hell. Burn. COVID-19. 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 I'm blown. The wind of God. You get your TT out of here. Now. Burn. You get your TT out of here. Burn this thing. COVID-19. 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 I'm blown. The wind of God. You are destroyed forever, and you will never be. You killer, you would break your power. Execute. You COVID-19. You killer, you would break your power.
a long time. Good old
Finish. It is over. And the United States of America is healed. do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Burn this thing. COVID-19. COVID-19. COVID-19.
What the fuck, bro?
You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Now. Burn. You don't do it. You don't do it. You don't do it. You get out of here. Burn this thing.
Dougie's gonna die. You see this fucking wolf.
They feed us with lies.
Die, you son of a gun!
Silence control.
Get his ace.
Controlling our lives.
They don't want peace, they want a war. Protecting the rich, dividing the poor. They feed us with lies, but silence the truth. Controlling our lives, they watch every move. Oh, that's how we do it. Let's give them a show. 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 We ready to go. We ready to go. You already know. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show. Oh, they want a show. I gladly oblige. I capitalize. What half of us die. We rally and cry. But sadly our signs just have us divided. So mad that we blind. But I ain't man sorry, man. I won't be part of your science class. Why we get poked by the quote unquote higher class. Call me defiant, man. I see a giant skin, man. I ain't part of your plan.
They don't want peace, they fueling their hate. Sick of beliefs that they rule every place. I stay in the kitchen, I'm whipping up food, but as soon as I serve it, they cool up my plates. Truth in their face, for Facebook police. They cover it up like a caprice. They locking us up, trying to keep us on leash. They creating these beats to keep us enemies. They don't want
peace, they want a war. Protecting the rich, dividing the poor. They feed us with lies, but silence the truth. Controlling our lives, they watch every move. Oh, that's how we do it. Let's give them a show. 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 We ready to go. We ready to go. You already know. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show. Politicians are more efficient with policies giving more attention. Steady growth, but what's more efficient is trusting God and making more Christians. They hate the ones that don't fall in line. Some military nurses all decline. If anything, it's a warning sign. Some raising hell about mine, cause they don't want peace. No, they don't, and all they want is pandemonium. Fear monger in this moment, no atonement, just straight up. But it's right, left, or even moderate. Either one can be intolerant. That's why they want Jesus out of it, cause they don't want peace. They want a war. Protecting the rich, dividing the poor. They feed us with lies, but silence the truth. Controlling our lives, they watch every move. Oh, that's how we do it. Let's give them a show. 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 We ready to go. We ready to go. You already know. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show. Let's give them a show.
Oh, fuck. They got a fucking wolf after me now. Son of a... Some kick.
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive.
When I trigger the ticket, the timing. When I gotta put him in a predicament within the rhyming, I gotta do it. Gotta commit it, a bit of the violence. I never hit it. I'm a nigga about to get in my body better. While leaving it silent out the arm. Nigga about the bomb. A nigga to keep it calm, keep it calm. Keep believing you beat me. I beat the odds. I'm a loser. I'm about to use in the voodoo. A nigga about to know you niggas about to know what I'm about to do to you. And when I gotta go cray on the beat, I better hollow it automatic. There ain't no way your motherfucker follow it. Methodical, we known to be the prodigal article. I'm a starter. I can leave another brother. My low bottom line. A nigga about to do it. A nigga the part of mine. I'm hard hide. I missile the nuke until they all died. Overdrive. Get them notified. About the archive on the mind, all bizarre on the front line. One time I unwind, I'm unkind, I run by the pain. Alumni, I untie and comply the brain. The nigga about to do what I gotta give him another guarantee. I keep it suited to suckers, so know I got the kerosene. Beautiful music is suited for the one to listen to the visionary. Bury everybody, be the minister, the incubus and the best, and I be the one to benefit. To beat it, fatality, Mortal Kombat finisher. I walked through hell and made it out alive. Yeah. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize.
apologize, turn this shit to overdrive.
Turn this bitch to overdrive. Okay, which flow should I go with? I think I'll multiply vocals by I don't even know, but I'm finna sound motorized like this V6 remote control boat that I'm zipping around my pool at home. See, my private life's no joke. I find myself doing the most, but I'm supposed to. Why not? Boy, I gave it all I got. Every single line I jot. Bye bye my ops. Take a look inside my lot. That's a bok joy cream my cock. I'll be right back. Sipping up the I-95. When I see a Popeyes, I stop. I watch eyes pop as I cop a two-piece leg and thighs with size then sign inside of the white box. Man, I'm fresh to death. I step the best. These checks finesse the left side of my Nikes. Guess I'm blessed, so yes, success in the flesh. These checks, man, they just keep coming in nice. I'm talking a whole lot of pesos. Now if I may say so, Papi stay with the fuego. The wave of imposters like hasta luego. Tell Satan, yeah.
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. Yo, the real ones just arrived. I will not apologize, turn this shit to overdrive.
I was drilling the Ritalin in my system like vitamins while I'm feeling adrenaline. I'm assembling skeletons in my closet. It's evident that I'm threatening peasants like I'm the president. Stepping in sections that are unwelcome and set the precedent effortless. I'm just taking my time. My heart is racing. I'm patiently pacing, picking in mind. I never fake it. I take it, replace it, make it sublime. Ain't no vacation, frustration, fake it. They hate on my prime. Got my heart and soul in the trolls. I ain't talking about votes when I say I get a poll. Wait, all my dreams and my goals they unfold while they scroll on their phones. Wait, I can never slow. Gotta grow, gotta flow, gotta glow. Neck flows on weight. No Sam, you and man. I'm incredible. I never fail. Murder on the next set bail. To a billion women say they feeling them. Sentencing me killing it. Spit it so cold like I'm cold and a villain. All of my synonyms so damn innocent. Challenging my cinnamon. Say they can't breathe, can't sleep, can't see. No plan B. Cause it's stampede for the punks, no Bambi. You a pansy, not manly. Her panties all on the ground to have me. She fancy. Flex. I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize, turn this shit to overdrive.
आया मैं कहाँ से देखो पहुंचा मैं कहाँ पे कृष्णा के नाम पे तोड़ियां पूरी आवाम में मिले दुआ के नाम पे धुआं ये जानते क्यों आज ये कांपते दिखे सांप ने कुएं में झांक के पूरे एक सांस में करूं मैं तो असली कांड जलती जाने की देखे मेरा असली काम जल्दी बांधिए नकाब जैसे बद्रीनाथ में रजनीकांत की छपरी की फटरी गांड बोला plus he has been underrated as fuck always kept it a buck I never took no action thought they be chuffed and celebrating my ups but they claiming it's luck and never pleasing my passion I'm a savage in both languages kinda tight with the rap but it's no bandage it's brandish it flows that are so damaged and throw hands with it when the beat bang my fangs come out and I strangle it जानते बात से मेरी बातें वास्तव कहाँ से कहाँ तक देखे मैंने रास्ते घातक रैप के वास्ते करते ये खास से नाटक पास थे खास तक वही मेरे पास है आज तक never lack the energy making my enemies scared of me cleverly put them in jeopardy chopping the melody guillotine I'm a remedy mentally for the ones that need therapy cause I'm meant to be legendary hella deep in the scene
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive.
I can you motherfuckers are trans can trying to be deep, but you a dummy devil damn. I'm trying to be brief, that I can when I can, and the nigga with the cam and they're trying to be cheap. I put the bam in the fam and I creep and I crawl and I peep. I'm a brawl whether or not I fall, whether or not I fall. Put the rock, keep it no slick, put the gun, put the dog in his place and continue to pull. Put the balls in his face and I draw from the race. Got the AK force if it's hot in the place, get a taste and a young cut raw. Fresh from the shore with the sharks on the rim and the cops on the way, and I'm only halfway deep in the safe. Gotta get to the bank, but I get to the bag. Gotta get out my way, gotta walk to the plank when we get to the bay. Murderous seasons on the way. When they walk through here, they just saute with the gas on fleek and the smoke on toxic. Never two carbon, zero oxygen. Got the bank of my nigga remain. He be caught in the time every time, everyone, and it just starts a game. But I guess he complain cause it's never a strain on my brain.
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive.
So many people tell me they used to my chopping, cause I've been at it for hella reducing the jock. And they know I'm a killer with all the juice that I'm dropping. So they missing all my lyric abuse when it's popping. Muse in the coffin. You to stop and produce in the zoos. A huge used to walking. But taking need to be letting loose, shoot them often. A heckler said I'm like a news choosing options. 36 years busting, giving the most of people my wordy shit. Here's nothing sniffing the dope and weekend and early hits here. Sucking dirty dicks near, pussing dirty pricks. We're hushing. What I'm giving the people, they take it like a type of therapy. They get the reason not too many are not aware of me. If you know with me in a jiffy, you never care to be. You're scared of me cause I am the killer, bringing the clarity with the speed. I'm giving them all I got. I'm kinda feeling like they're waiting for my motherfucking lips to bleed. This degree, they don't want a script to read. They want me talking about I'm dripping like a dick disease, and that is no surprise. It's your demise. Go for my best tech when I vocalize. The fold, the five is gonna slow the lies when I speed them up and I put them into overdrive. Close your eyes.
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive.
Whenever I'ma get ignorant, it'll get ugly. What could be done to me? Let them know they don't want none of me. When I be coming up out of it, I am an animal, impeccable as ever. Let them know ain't nobody touching me. Look into the eyes of an immediate enemy. It'll be the final analysis and then the paralysis of a cinematic enigma. I am a nigga, my nemesis, and never defeated. I'm over for challenges. Take a walk in the Timberland, never warrior. I'm like to talking to moccasin, I can send everybody into the grave. Got you feeling the villain, the way I pitted your village.
I'm magnificent on the stage. Then I'ma dig 'em up, shoot 'em in the head like the Day of the Dead. You ain't gonna be able to get 'em up, but then when I lit 'em up, you gon' have to carry the dead soul. Just so I'ma allow you to pick 'em up and take 'em back home. Give 'em a burial they deserve gone because I know how to play with words. Hook up the lettering like I'm a veteran, like I'm an elephant in the room, bring it doom with the verbs. Pushing the pedal to the metal when I am over the level of any one of you motherfuckers in front of me. You be like a son of me. I don't ever see you when I be flowing in motion. You be too far under me because I'm in overdrive. Twisted.
I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive. I walked through hell and made it out alive. Shut your mouth, don't want your damn advice. The real ones just arrived. I will not apologize. Turn this shit to overdrive.
Hey, it's Peter Griffin here. Holy crap. Where you going to, Chris? Yeah, you rat bastard. Go up and down. This is get your ass handed to you.
What's wrong, Blackie?
I made my first album and nobody cares. Nobody cares, man.
What'd you expect? You're independent, man. And you're also, like, sort of positive. But I'll tell you what. If you kill this, and these pansies don't show respect for it, you have my blessing to sign to a major label. Okay?
Okay.
This guy.
10 minutes was the warm-up, nigga, get in tune. You want a beef? Let's meet. Hit my Zoom. I'm calling shots, you in the bleachers more than every move. I kill 'em with success, I'm up next, like afternoon. You niggas even in the playing scale, it's like the moon trying to sunset as the nightmare I rap resumes. You get eclipsed and then I star in the movie where the underdog leaves the whole game straight confused. You think you rapping with a guy? You must be crazy, nigga. One song from my deluxe is all I need to do. These puppies barking, they don't bit off more than they can chew. My album just dropped, I'm already back for round 2. This here for shits and giggles is an epiphany. Dax ain't dropping music when he's rapping, he's dropping symphonies. I make Mozart than most. My key lyrically is noted on a scale above the whole industry is Dax. I got bars out in Georgia, 20-minute songs are probably Illinois. I got PTSD from the killings of these beats. I'm a veteran, I came in the game like a soldier. I could sun you like Barbosa. Me and Nash playing soccer out in Canada, that's true though. I ain't never lied in my prime. How I minister the flow is unknown. They don't know where it's coming from, like phone calls with Star 69. They say I say nothing, that I'm corny and outdated. If I rapped in the 90s, I'd probably be famous. That the flow and the cadence is abrasive. I be blacking out on beats, even niggas started calling me a racist. Like Aunt Jemima, I need an Oscar. They admire my wiener, they blowing me like Hurricane Katrina. I get Superdome defenses trying to find a way to stop me. I'm offensive with the wordplay, I minded misdemeanors. Bitch, you might need a subpoena to see me like John Cena. Hot jab you, then wrap you like a turban packer. Stand in a can and ship them to Eminem and say Dax needs a feature and pray that it's not a burden. Why? Because I rap in cursive. They treat my lyrics like the Bible, the OG and the King James Version. This colloquial, my verses speak hood and suburban, so the people in the jacks should respect my sermons. Merge it, leapfrog it, Kermit. You wanna pass, you'll need a permit. Lyrically, I'm driving drunk, how I'm swerving in and out of genres. I ain't pop or urban, I'm my own category. You can call that shit purpose. Listen, I need to get this off my chest. You a bitch if I'm rapping and you say you not impressed. Your input does not add money to my check. Who the fuck about to do this and not even break a sweat, man? They committing genocide, trying to exterminate the lyricist while saying Dax is the antithesis. That means opposite, but if I'm the opposite, then how am I independent and the game still profiting? It's not supposed to happen, they capping. I'm a goddamn savage when rapping. Gas mask your casket, cause the smoke I spit will give you lung damage. If you wanna come and grab what I'm grabbing, you'll have to lift weights and wait, cause the tectonic plate shift I create is so great that by the time you reach me, the earth quakes. The booth was my birthplace, I'm used to the static. They say I got drive, I'm automatic. Ain't listening to demos, especially not critics. These niggas panic like we at the disco. I got a simple plan for you. We should rage against the machine. I'ma need a team, I'm 2.5 men myself, like Charlie Sheen. This industry's sick, Dax is the vaccine. Top 5 in this bitch, at least the past 3. If they say otherwise, they anti-vaccine. And the mandate pass suppresses they free speech, cause I'm in a different category. My whole life is an allegory. The truth I speak is a double edge, and that's why there's no matrimony. Everybody knows what I came to do, so they separate, and the alimony is why I'm broke. But I don't care because my impact is mandatory in the age of fake. And And I'm perplexed by the hate. Why flex in your songs if they carry no
you
weight?
fucking
If
son
my
of a
shit's
bitch.
trash but spreads at this rate, then
first
maybe
time,
it's
my
you
friend.
who has no taste. And I don't normally pray, but today I'll say, Dear God, please wash these lames away. And ironically, that's the name of my song that's gold with no fucking radio play. Now it's back to the topic. Let me hit you with a switch. How the fuck I'm pussy if you always on my dick? I don't rap about the typical, my money or a bitch. And if I ever do flex, I'm in the gym doing lifts. I don't pack nothing but six. My abs stay ripped. I'm like an ad-lib bitch. I stay in the mix. Every time I see a beat in my scope, it's a hit. State of mind like a shooter for the New York Knicks. I'm the best. And if they ask her why, like the clip, still I'm Dax. Got a glove with the game in his grip. Throwing counter punches, hooks. Metaphorically the shit like a potty mouth nigga with a stank up a lip. And this wasn't planned. I'm spitting facts from a real world scan. They cable, I'm streaming, they nice. But the difference, they can do it on demand. I'm demand, bombing all these beats. If you tally up the bands, got enough ammunition to supply the Taliban. Every bar is like a bullet, they go doop doop. People try to dodge, but they can't, like a fucking caravan. Okay, now I'm warmed up, I can feel the sweat. The bar drip and turn complex. Hit the floor as I gas the beat, then evaporate and condense. In a generation where common sense is not common sense, we need real rap. But when you say Nas, they think you mean Lil Nas X. And that's not a diss, I don't want to get canceled. YouTube, don't take my channel, don't copyright, cause if you do, I'll strike and be at you. I'm sick and something you can't handle. I'm solar like a panel, you can't desert me like a camel. I was built for this and something they cannot dismantle. Man, this is appalling, I bounce back like Spalding. I slide on these beats, my flow's icy and my bars toboggans. If rap's a house, I'm home alone like Macaulay Culkin. And if you think you're better, then rap about it and stop talking hot dogging. I actually played basketball, I'm getting buckets if they ever say that that's ballin'. I see them posting who's the best hoop rap artist, like I ain't led a whole goddamn college conference. This shit is wild, I see the posts and profiles, but commenting negativity is not my style. I got a strap and I ain't talking about a gun, it's a hoop term, dummy. Go ahead, you can check my file, I bet it's squeaky clean. See, I don't wanna go to jail, but if I did, I know it'd triple on my sales. And that's the fucked up part about this life. Don't nobody wanna see you do good till you going through hell. And that's why I had to make this 20-minute rap song. I'm about to one take it. I just made my first album full of songs from the depths of my heart, and these people didn't appreciate it. I should've rapped about guns and violence, or fucking bad bitches on an island, or some drugs that I don't even take. Then tell all the kids to try it. Man, what's it gonna take to make it? For them to say that I'm one of the greatest? Do I gotta go sell my soul and live the rest of my life forsaken? Don't push me, cause I just might do it. I go dumb, but I've never been stupid. I've had nothing in my life before and I was fine, so bitch, I'm not afraid to lose it. So fuck this music, I don't need it. Call me cocky, call me conceited, smooth criminal, I'm a demon. I might jack them, now they gotta beat it. I throw up hits, I'm bulimic. Shout out to Drake, why? I stay scheming. Started from the bottom, now the views I'm seeing mean nothing was the same. And I'm no longer dreaming, man, it's already a classic. I'm the future, so you can't look past it. If you take that mask off, you can tell that I'm the baddest. Report cards, the only time in life you'll see Dax beside the word average. And I bet you I'm above. Go add her all together, I ain't talking about the drug. And you know it's orange juice if they say it's C+. If you think I'm a 50, then you got no sense. Like the famous rap song that is called In the Club. Calm down, let me bust a rhyme and kick flips while I'm on my grind. I got tricks up my sleeve, I can make a simile disappear like the line inside this line. And every time I rhyme, they see an optimist in his prime. I transform, I can reach the blind. My mind's design is one of a kind. You'll find there is no one like I, and that is why I must keep it going. Constant motion, locomotive. I lack promotion, not provoke them. Break down every system, but still be growing. So sick that they might need some ibuprofen off the deep end. Bars with the depths of ocean, sub-zero flow, so you know it's frozen. IQ so high, feels like I'm smoking. Most important man who is spitting potent. Face off with the rock like a real Samoan. Tech 9 with the chop, Midwestern influence. That's congruent. Paying my respects, I'm never out of pocket. Name another young gun who is this polished. I spit fury, entice them with this rocket. Bars get to dropping everywhere like I'm bronze bombing. You couldn't put me in a box if we boxing. BTS shots the only time Dax K-popping. Stick on my hip, I clean the whole room, but don't be alarmed, it's Dax, I'm just mopping. That's off topic, let me tell you something real. Everything you see now was done with no deal. What does that mean? It's fuck how you feel, cause
It's impossible to get this far with no skill. Never mind, you won't find no one like me. I wish that you would see me for what I am, instead of ignorant top comments you see on the gram. I'm a once in a lifetime type of man who actually cares about the content and all the fans. I guess it doesn't matter. They piss poor, weak bladder. I gotta keep them at bay, like the Packers. Don't stare, cause you'll need a ladder. They pass words around like computer hackers. I'm built different, I was never breastfed. When I was 2 years old, I was trapped on my head. In school like Deja, they tried me, but just like the second part of the name, I was all about the bread. So I stayed focused, I couldn't afford to fumble. Wrestling demons in my bed like the Royal
People are really fucking stupid. Did you ever notice that? How many really stupid people you run into during the day? God damn, there's a lot of stupid bastards walking around. Carry a little pad and pencil with you. You wind up with 30 or 40 names by the end of the day. Look at it this way. Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that. And it doesn't take you very long to spot one of them, does it? Take you about 8 seconds. You'll be listening to some guy. You say, this guy is fucking stupid.
You can say what you want about this country, and I love this place. I love the freedoms we used to have. I love it. I love that. I love it when it didn't take a fucking catastrophe to get us to care for one another. I love the fact that we're on camera all the time from all angles. But you know what? You can say what you want about America. And I say I love this place. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wouldn't live in any other time in history in any other place. But say what you want about America. Land of the free, home of the brave. We got some dumbass motherfuckers floating around this country. Dumbass motherfuckers. You know? These people are efficient, professional, compulsive consumers. It's their civic duty. Consumption. It's the new national pastime. Fuck baseball. It's consumption. The only true, lasting American value that's left, buying things. Buying things. People spending money they don't have on things they don't need. Money they don't have on things they don't need. So they can max out their credit cards and spend the rest of their lives paying 18% interest on something that costs $12.50. And they didn't like it when they got it home anyway. Not too bright, folks. Not too fucking bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. You say, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass.
Hold on. Let me go to my fucking stream here and see if there's any...
That's what they do in a lot of these schools. Passing grades so more kids can pass. That's what they do in a lot of these schools. Passing grades so more kids can pass.
Alright, so...
More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a fucking pencil. Got a pencil? Get the fuck in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Hey, living in a coast-to-coast shopping mall? Well, they think it's just fucking dandy. They think it is cool as can be, because Americans love the mall. They love the mall. That's where they get to satisfy their 2 most prominent addictions at the same time. Shopping and eating. Millions of semi-conscious Americans, day after day, shuffling through the malls, shopping and eating, especially eating. Americans love to eat. They are fatally attracted to the slow death of fast food. Folks, living in this country, you're bound to know that every time you're exposed to advertising, you realize once again that America's leading industry, America's most profitable business is still the manufacture, packaging, distribution, and marketing of bullshit.
Yep.
High quality, grade A, prime cut, pure American bullshit. And the sad part is that most people seem to have been indoctrinated to believe that bullshit only comes from certain places, certain sources. Advertising, politics, salesmen, not true. Bullshit is everywhere. Bullshit is rampant. Parents are full of shit, teachers are full of shit, clergymen are full of shit, and law enforcement people are full of shit. This entire country is completely full of shit, and always has been. From the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution to the Star-Spangled Banner, it's still nothing more than one big steaming pile of red, white, and blue all-American bullshit. Because think of how we started. Think of that. This country was founded by a group of slave owners who told us all men are created equal. Oh, yeah. All men, except for Indians and niggers and women, right?
He said.
Always like to use that authentic American language. This was a small group of unelected white male land-holding slave owners who also suggested their class be the only one allowed to vote. Now that is what's known as being stunningly and embarrassingly full of shit. And I think Americans really show their ignorance when they say they want their politicians to be honest. What are these fucking cretins talking about? Tell the truth, don't be bullshitting people. Like I say, there's enough bullshit as it is. There's enough bullshit as it is. In fact, there's just enough. Did you know that? There's just enough bullshit to hold things together in this country.
Bullshit's like the glue.
Bullshit is the glue that binds us as a nation.
Yep.
Where would we be without our safe, familiar American bullshit? Land of the free, home of the brave, the American dream. All men are equal, justice is blind, the press is free, your vote counts. Business is honest, the good guys win. The police are on your side. God is watching you. Your standard of living will never decline. And everything is going to be just fine. The official national bullshit story. I call it the American okey doke. That's what they do with that kind of stuff. They put it in the heads of kids. They pound it in there because they know kids are too young to be able to mount a sophisticated argument against these kind of ideas. And so kids, and up to a certain age, by the way, kids are going to believe everything a grown-up tells them. Everything. So kids never learn to question things. Nobody questions things in this country anymore. Nobody questions things. Why? People are too fat and happy. People are way too fucking prosperous for their own good. Everyone's got a cell phone that'll make pancakes and rub their balls now, you know? So nobody wants to rock the boat.
Bullshit.
And people just gizmo. Americans have been silenced, bought off and silenced by gizmos and toys. And as a result, no one's ever learned to question things. No one questions things in this country. No one questions things. War, disease, death, destruction, hunger, filth, poverty, torture, crime, corruption, and the ice-capades. Something is definitely wrong. Things that are pissing me off, because I don't have pet peeves. I have major psychotic fucking hatreds, okay? And it makes the world a lot easier to sort out. You know what would be great for a guy like me? Just to be in a coma. Wouldn't that be great? Nothing to do all day. You just crap out and breathe through a fucking tube. They feed you through a tube. There's nothing to do. Whoa, you talk about being a couch potato, that's it, man. No phone calls coming in, nobody dropping by unexpectedly. And if they do drop by, you're completely unaware of it. Because you're in a fucking coma, and you're practically clinically dead. And you don't have to listen to their stupid shit. Can be blamed on the baby boomers. Something else I'm a little tired of hearing about. The baby boomers. Whiny, narcissistic, self-indulgent people with a simple philosophy. Give me it, it's mine! Give me that, it's mine! These people were given everything. Everything was handed to them. And they took it all. Took it all. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And they stayed loaded for 20 years and had a free ride. But now they're staring down the barrel of middle-age burnout. And they don't like it. They don't like it, so they turn self-righteous. And they want to make things hard on younger people. They tell them abstain from sex, say no to drugs. As for the rock and roll, they sold that for television commercials a long time ago. So they could buy pasta machines and Stairmasters and soybean futures. Soybean futures. They're cold, bloodless people. It's in their slogans, it's in their rhetoric. No pain, no gain. Just do it. Life is short, play hard. Shit happens, deal with it. Get a life. These people went from do your own thing to just say no. They went from love is all you need to whoever winds up with the most toys wins. And they went from cocaine to Rogaine. Airport security is a stupid idea, it's a waste of money, and it's only there for one reason, to make white people feel safe.
do you think about
That's
that?
all.
Democrats who saying this long before.
The illusion of safety. Because the authorities know they can't make an airplane completely safe. Too many people have access. You'll notice the drug smugglers don't seem to have a lot of trouble getting their little packages on board, do they? No, and God bless them too. As far as I'm concerned, all of this airport security, all the searches, the screenings, the cameras, the questions, it's just one more way of reducing your liberty and reminding you that they can fuck with you anytime they want. As long as you put up with it. As long as you put up with it. Which means, of course, anytime they want. Because that's what Americans do now. They're always willing to trade away a little of their freedom in exchange for the feeling, the illusion of security. What we have now is a completely neurotic population obsessed with security and safety and crime and drugs and cleanliness and hygiene and germs. There's another thing. Germs. Where did this sudden fear of germs come from? In this country. Have you noticed this? The media constantly running stories about all the latest infections, salmonella, E. coli, hantavirus, bird flu, and Americans they panic easily, so now everybody's running around scrubbing this and spraying that and overcooking their food and repeatedly washing their hands, trying to avoid all contact with germs. It's ridiculous, and it goes to ridiculous lengths. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Man.
The public sucks. Fuck hope. Fuck hope.
Because if it's really just the fault of these politicians, then where are all the other bright people of conscience? Where are all the bright, honest, intelligent Americans ready to step in and save the nation and lead the way? We don't have people like that in this country. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, taking his credit card out of his fanny pack and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in them. So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On Election Day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it. Look at things anymore, sort of take them in, maybe even remember them. Is that such a strange notion? Does experience have to be documented and brought home and saved on a shelf? And do people really watch this shit? Are people's lives so bankrupt they sit at home looking at things they already did?
Exactly. And here's another thing too I want to say. Why is it that people, the same types of people, can go out, document shit, put it online, make it seem like it was a good time, if you know where I'm going with this, put themselves into a situation or scenario, pretend like they're reporting on shit, be alright with it, and ruin other people's lives whilst doing it. God, we got a lot of nosy motherfuckers in this nation. We have a lot of people that just don't know how to take care of themselves as well, and don't know how to stay the fuck out of each other's, way. That's what I think is wrong with this nation. We have too many people that are invested in too many other people's business. And what I mean by that is too many people who don't mind their own fucking business and mind their own. I talked about this today on TikTok. I did a live stream. Actually, it was the other day, because today is 12:04 a.m. here in the Midwest currently. But I spoke a bit about that. I said, one of the big problems in the United States is we got people that go shopping, we got people that have their every day-to-day, lives to live, this, that, and the other. We got too many people that just don't mind their own P's and Q's. They don't mind their own damn business. They like to get into other people's business and think they're going to make a great impact, or they think they're going to do this, that, and the other, and the third. And it's like, just leave people the fuck alone. And I think that people just need to take some time away from others and figure some shit out. Like, it almost seems like everybody's in a midlife crisis. And I understand there's a lot of crisis that's been going on. That's been happening in the world right now, if you don't know what's been going on. But to me, I look at it like this. The media constantly, George Carlin spoke about this, they like to run all sorts of advertisements and all sorts of, as they say, ads or advertisements for long. But that he was talking about specifically about the ways of germs, immunizations, this, that, and the other. I think there's too much hopium, there's too much copium, and there's these are buzzwords that people, gamer fucking talk, I guess, mainstream, modern day, leftist, liberal fucking gamers use. And I see it all the time. I'm almost the polar opposite of Asmongold, and here's the reason why. I got long fucking hair, if you haven't noticed. It's kind of straggling in the back. But I don't believe in any of this Channel 5 news, leftist, nonsensical jargon, bullshit that's dredged up time after time. That being said, I don't believe in the ways of the conservative as well, because the problem with the conservatives, or even that of the libertarians, is that they strive to look at one thing in their own ways of being. And the problem with this government is the people within it. You have to start at grassroots level for things. Well, how do you do that without policies and politics and politicians? You do it just that way, without all of that, and you start with the people. If it's we the people, and we want sovereignty, and we need sovereignty, we need to be free, away from the confines and the ways of what binds us or does hold us together as a nation with just this government that controls us, because it does, then we need to step the fuck back, analyze our situation and the many scenarios that have been played out and that have went on, these things that have happened, and consider that maybe this government isn't all for us, and we do need the Declaration of Independence, and to reform this government completely. And that's something that people don't consider in such an old document, but it's been documented. It's kind of like one of our big time rules here in this nation. When government falls, it's time to reform it, remake it into a new form of government, because this one is failing us. So I'm not right or left. I used to be conservative. Used to be. I mean, I fell for that, Trump thing, this and that, Trump 2020. Yeah, I voted 2 times in my life. I voted once for Barack. Thought he was going to do the nation a lot of good. Black man, first black man president. Hey, why not? Who became president? Yeah, first black man who became president. I figured maybe he would lead people out of poverty, do a lot of better things. But we got into a recession, so there's that. And then I also voted for Trump in 2020. So it's like, the path this nation's going down to, though. Let's not bullshit ourselves. I'm more of an outlaw. I'm more of an anarchist. I'm more of an anonymous kind of, I like that hacker group, the way that they used to be kind of guy. I don't know. I don't see this nation succeeding the way that we always had thought we were, or how we would have been. I see a lot of deterioration of mind, especially with how the youth has been in the educational systems within public schools, the public school system. And to replace that, I say just yank your fucking kids out of school and do more homeschooling. Women need to stay the fuck at home. Men need to go to work and do the labor. It may seem horrible, but at the same time, then I can also adjust it to like this, and for how you guys should maybe understand this a bit more. Why this nation is degrading down to nothing. Repeal the 19th. Because a man should be relied on. Shouldn't be the other way around. And to these women out there that say I live in a queendom, stop. It's the biggest fucking lie that I've ever heard upon humankind throughout the entirety of my 32 years living on this earth. These women that try to get too self-righteous. And then I can't reach this in the store. Could you grab it for me, sir? Who are you trying to bullshit, lady? You're a single woman? Where's your husband at? But you're out doing the shopping. I suppose I could. Now, because I used to work retail. I worked for a supermarket named Cub Foods. Didn't work in the shelving area, so I didn't work, stocking shelves, but I didn't work in that sort of department at the store, but I worked within the store. I worked as deli, in the deli department. But, so there's that. But anyway, back to what I was saying, though, it's the nation pretty much as a whole is fucked. I mean, because we keep going down this path of right and left. And I don't agree with this, let's make America one, America two. Because it doesn't work that way. You're only going to leave if you split America up that much and divide that much, you're going to fuck everything up. You're going to fuck everyone. The end of the world will come for sure at that point. And there'll be some more fucking blood on our hands. There'll be more civil war. Because eventually that's what it'll pan out to be. That's what will happen. That's what it will boil down to. And if you think that I'm wrong, look at how America is, what it's become thus far. For how things have been boiled down to, for how things have panned out. So that's a lose-lose. You think that it's good that it's a win-lose, it's a win for the Democrats and a lose for Republicans, but then at the same time it could say it's a win for Republicans and a lose for Democrats. So even if you try to divide America, which is why I don't agree with that, whatever the fuck their name is, that said she wanted to do America 1, America 2, and divide the liberals away from the conservatives, because sooner or later you're going to have civil war. And sure, by all means, if you're going to do that, do it. But remember something, later on, both of you, when you're bitching and moaning and eventually getting into civil war, I'm going to be fucking kicking back and relaxing as someone who's an anarchist and watching the entropy unfold in front of my eyes. Popping popcorn in my mug here. sipping on a fucking root beer or something. This is entertainment to me. You know, I get I get that people want to just do the best to just live their own way. Then again, it's like, okay, have your freedoms, but maybe you have too many liberals. And maybe too many liberals grab at straws too much, and they want too many fucking things. Just like these baby boomers that George Carlin described. I mean, certainly haven't just, looked at these things enough to see if I'm right or not. And I don't think too many people actually give a fuck too. Which is kind of fucking sad, to be honest with you. So, hasn't been tried yet. Let's see how it goes. Kind of like what George Carlin was saying there, that way as well. Let's see how things. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of issues in the States. There's a lot of people who want to continue to just go on the same track, be on the same path as they always have been. It's like, well, how's that treating you? How's your life? I gotta ask this legitimately. How you living? Living all right? Not even trying to be too sarcastic, but really, how are you living? You're living your life all right? Do you like living in this sort of America, in this sort of nation that you've been living in? And if you say no, then I will still ask you, a lot of you liberals, a lot of you people that are leftists, why don't you just move out then? Why don't you just move the fuck out? Matter of fact, why don't you move down south, all the way into Mexico? We'll take the hard-working Mexicans that are coming up through here that Joe Biden has let in, because they're more family-oriented anyway. Yeah, how about that? How about we just put you down in Mexico, and we'll let all the Mexicans come in, because Joe Biden let the border be open. I know a lot of Mexicans who are hard workers. These men, they get on the roofing, into the roofing jobs, and they're on the roofs out in the middle of fucking summer. These sons of bitches, these guys work like hardcore. They are hardcore fucking workers. They work like a son of a gun. They do siding and all that shit. They're tough sons of bitches. So, they're very family oriented as well. But it's gotten to that point where it's like, you have to think outside the box like this. I don't think enough people are speaking commonly and thinking outside the box, man. You get so many people wrapped up in all this other nonsensical, like I said, bullshit. Not thinking outside the box and being a little bit more open, creative on things and ideas be made, and to be let known a lot more often towards one another. This is the deterioration. This is one of the aspects, one of the many views that I have on America. This is how it will become deteriorated eventually over time, because, naturally with that as well, because people just can't tend to see things for what it's worth and look at the things that have been happening and say, proof is in the pudding, and admit that they're wrong once in a while. I think there's so many leftists that won't admit they're wrong, as much so as right-sided individuals. But I think there's so many leftists that will not admit, to a certain point, even in their life when they know they're wrong, that they're fucking clearly wrong. It's like they have some sort of, not only cognitive dissonance, but that they've got some sort of, what is that called? Stockholm syndrome? Especially the ones that hold a mask on their face throughout this entire time, they're still wearing that shit? You haven't become indoctrinated at all? Okay, then why do you watch that idiot box constantly and try to get approval from that? And maybe get information from that as opposed to just doing your own research. Better yet, why is it that anybody watches the idiot box and listens to the news instead of doing their own research whatsoever a lot more often than not? Because I betcha we'd all become a bit more intelligent, self-made. Here we go. Self-made. We become more self-made. We become more self-made, more intelligent, and more knowledgeable of what goes on around us. And we can decipher and pick through the bullshit a lot more and see what's what. And say, you know what, that's bait. That's not right. Something's off there. So it's a lot of things I see. Again, it accrues and builds up to how much bullshit you will take until everything just falls apart around you. You know what I mean? And that sounds sort of dystopian, but it's like at that point where it's gotten to that point where you see things that are happening around you, and still you have to, there's maybe a shred of decency or humanity in you still that is pondering, wondering why things are going on the way that they're happening, even outside of the mainstream media and the news that you're used to listening to, or to get your information from. I know that I have a good feeling, I would say, not only that I know, but I have a good feeling, instinctive, feeling, and I don't know, say maybe a gut feeling or a sixth sense, so to speak, that leftists can think outside the box in one way or another, and they're creative enough to use their mouths whenever they want to fucking open them up and to say anything out of their suck hole without thinking about what they're going to say beforehand. So it's like, you provide so many different opinions of yours so many times, and you aren't creative enough anymore. The title of you being a liberal sometimes, to me, just doesn't even seem like you're liberal anymore. You're nobody. You're a hopeless fucking cause. You're people. You're the types of people that will only listen to your own bullshit, but won't even take the time to. And I'm going to make this is a far stretch on this kind of aspect and perspective to take and consider and visualize on. But you're the same types of people who listen to your own bullshit, but you won't take the time to bullshit with others and shoot the shit and have a good time, even if on this side anymore. And that's how fucking petty. Yeah, I had to go there. Petty. And here's another P word for you. Pitiful. You are as human beings within the human race. And here's another P word for you. Pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. And it's damn shameful. Because again, that only deteriorates people away from society, seeing things in kind of the same way. You eventually look at their own problems on an individualized basis of what they've been doing wrong. See, and once you take away the individualistic basis for how people should be pointed out for the problems, then nobody's right, because everyone is lumped in and grouped into one fucking set to the next, to a substrata of human beings from one tribe or one place with the people inside of it. And that's what it seems like this is coming down to. This is what it's gotten down to. There's no unity in that. That's separatism. That's segregationism. So then everybody ends up fighting anyway. So what the fuck? Fucking A. So this is why I disagree. This is why I disagree with the whole split bullshit that people tend to listen to for that. I can't remember what the fucking name was, but there's someone else that agreed with her guy. It's like, and I don't think it's just gonna work. Even if you try to separate America, and you look at it like this, you have to really understand that for what it's worth in this kind of viewpoint or this perspective for a moment. Say you do end up doing that, are you going to cause more harm to America in the future for your kids to grow up around other kids that are their age? Okay, and then how are your kids going to think? And then if, say, those kids that you had, their kids, get where I'm going with this, so you don't create any amount of unity or symbiotic, dare I say, human relationships, or to cooperate, coordinate your efforts as best as you can, and have your kids be well with other people's kids, so that we eventually do pan out to become more unified, or maybe having more of a union, but of a of a greater understanding, a sense of unity. So it's when you take away something out of America and you try to split it more, it's like trying to split end hair into 3 or more pieces. Kind of reminds me of like that part of the movie where they talk about it's with Tom Riddle in one of the Harry Potter movies. Again, I'm bringing up Harry Potter. I've done this before in other live streams, but when Tom Riddle speaks to that professor, Sluggles is something worth it. I don't remember. Hey, that's his name. Slughorn? Yeah. And he speaks to Professor Slughorn and asks him about splitting the soul 7 times. So it's like doing that. It's damn near impossible. Well, the more times, the more times you split apart from one another, it just creates even more division. This divisive tactic, though, that's been ingrained in people's brains from the media, ingraining that information into and indoctrinating the different age groups. And I would also go probably allude to the fact that it's not even just age groups. Let's go specifically in general to look at generations. Because I think from generation to generation, everybody's been indoctrinated. Now, I also will say like this: the people who have been excuse me, the people who have been indoctrinated have also chosen to listen and to take in and to consider different pieces of information that they would have listened to or not. So again, it's based off I look at it from an individual to individualistic basis of how people are behaving and interacting. This is somewhat psychological, but this makes sense in the best way that I can just tend to have everything equal out or pan out, as I say, and to possibly fix America. And also, if you want unity, and I actually was speaking about this on TikTok, so we're talking about unity, America, this, that, and the other, since we're talking about the separatism and the segregationism a bit, but I said, there has to be some sort of form of, and I brought up healthy segregation. To be a healthy segregationist or to be having healthy segregation. And I said, Black lives, and I brought up Black Lives Matter. I said, Black Lives Matter, for example. Not to feed in too much into the organization, but I wanted to throw ideas out there, throwing pennies into a wishing well, see if, me chucking them or me tossing them over, seeing which one would go in. If you want to visualize on that, maybe interpret that in a certain way. But Black Lives Matter. I've heard from people in that group, in person, in that organization, they're going to fucking call it, not going to give too much props or anything, but I'm going to say it like this. People have said, so what I've heard in that organization, that Black lives are supposed to matter before any other life. Okay. Well, if Black lives are supposed to matter before any other life, then why don't you just build your own black cities? Then you wouldn't have the white cop on you. You wouldn't have to blame any white people anymore. It could just be only black people in there. And again, it does sound sort of racist, but there's no racial intention or racist intention or intent towards black people. It's a solution to the problem at hand. Not feeding in again. It's not me feeding into your organization. It's me providing a problem-solving idea. To your cause and to your case that you've been bringing up time and time again to riot in the streets about. The solutions are right there. You can give any group any amount of ideas, and people can be creative and think outside the box on these things, like myself. I like to think outside the box. I also do like to think critically. But, again, case in point, if Black lives are supposed to matter before any other life, then why aren't Black Lives Matter building their own black cities? with black cops, black business owners only. Only to have their own black schools with black children. And black parental meetings with the black teachers. Or more black universities in black-only cities. Because then, if it was all black, you wouldn't have to worry about white people. At all. There would be no white cops. There would be only black cops. There would be only black-owned businesses. There would be only black everything. So I got solutions to people's problems. I've got ideas. I can throw you ideas, like I say, chucking pennies into a fucking wishing well, left, right, and center. I give you ideas all day long on what to do. In many different things, for many different scenarios to play out for the future even. And to see what will happen. But it's up to people, though, to see if they want to go along with it. And it's like, so many people have so many problems. Okay, let's start brainstorming. Let's start talking about your idea, your problems, and if there's any ideas, any solutions to your problem that I have as ideas, or anybody else that might have as ideas. Everybody has every problem. I get it. Everybody has every little amount of any problem that they have. Person to person, from individual to individual. But how do you solve it? You talk about it. You throw ideas out into the open, see what sticks. Like throwing a dart. You think of this, throwing a dart into a chalkboard, or not chalkboard, into a dartboard. So it's, you know, people are like, well, easier said than done. You gotta start somewhere. If I get people ideas, then that means there's conversational things that can be had. I'm utilizing my conversational skills, and I'm somewhat boosting people's confidence, as much so as my own. So there's so many different variations of and methods of how we can approach things. But until I hear actual solutions and ideas being produced and made, nothing happens. There's so many people who want to complain about the government. Well, what are we doing about it? I can complain about the government all day. I can do the same thing. I have been. But, you know, it's sometimes I complain too much, and then I sound like I'm griping. And I'm not coming up with ideas to have things solved and to have a solution to the problem. Well, I'm going to pin it on the conservatives and all the libertarians and everyone else, and I'll say it like this, just as a historically referenced historical figure in history that was one of our presidents, Ronald Reagan. And he said on the Johnny Carson show, and I quote, you know, people keep looking to government, and government's the problem. Overlooked that little detail, though, didn't we? Sometimes you can find the best sort of quotes within comedy. And comedy shows, within these older types of television shows that used to be awesome, like Johnny Carson show, or George Carlin's get-ups. It's comedy stand-ups they had on stage. And you can pick through the information a bit. Listen to what he said, and you'll understand the messages behind his words. What he was getting at, specifying on. But not to get too philosophical with you guys, it's just I have a logical mind, and I have an analytical one at that, and ethical mind at that. And I don't think too many people actually take the time to dissect information, or to, like I said, pick through things and look at what is what, and to solve issues. They do a lot of bullshitting, a lot of this.
The self-esteem movement began in 1970, and I'm happy to say it has been a complete failure. Because Studies have repeatedly shown that having high self-esteem does not improve grades, does not improve career achievement, it does not even lower the use of alcohol, and most certainly does not reduce the incidence of violence of any sort. Because as it turns out, extremely aggressive, violent people think very highly of themselves. Imagine that. Sociopaths have high self-esteem. Who would have thunk, huh? I love when this kind of thing happens. I love when these politically correct ideas crash and burn and wind up in the shithouse.
Language. Tell you what you can say and what you can't say. Government wants to tell you some things you can't say because they're against the law. Or you can't say this because it's against the regulation. Or here's something you can't say because it's a secret. You can't tell him that because he's not cleared to know that. Government wants to control information and control language because that's the way you control thought. And basically that's the game they're in. Same with religion. Religion is nothing but mind control. Religion is just trying
achievement. It does not even lower the use of alcohol, and most certainly does not reduce the incidence of violence of any sort. Because as it turns out, extremely aggressive, violent people think very highly of themselves. Imagine that. Sociopaths have high self-esteem. Who would have thunk, huh? I love when this kind of thing happens. I love when these politically correct ideas crash and burn and wind up in the shithouse.
Language. Tell you what you can say and what you can't say. Government wants to tell you some things you can't say because they're against the law. Or you can't say this because it's against the regulation. Or here's something you can't say because it's a secret. You can't tell him that because he's not cleared to know that. Government wants to control information and control language because that's the way you control thought. And basically that's the game they're in. Same with religion. Religion is nothing but mind control. Religion is just trying to control your mind, control your thoughts. So they're going to tell you some things you shouldn't say because they're sins. And besides telling you things you shouldn't say, religion's going to suggest to you some things you ought to be saying. Here's something you ought to say first thing when you wake up in the morning. Here's something you ought to say just before you go to sleep at night. Here's something we always say on the third Wednesday in April after the first full moon in spring at 4 o'clock when the bells ring. Religion is always suggesting things you ought to be saying. Same with political groups of all kinds. Political activists, anti-bias groups, special interest groups are going to suggest the correct political vocabulary, the way you ought to be saying things, and that's where the feminists come in. Now, as I said, I got nothing against the feminists. In fact, I happen to agree with most of the feminist philosophy I have read. I agree, for instance, that for the most part, men are vain, ignorant, greedy, brutal assholes who've just about ruined this planet. Who've just about ruined this planet because they're afraid someone might have a bigger dick out there somewhere.
You know what they ought to do? They ought to have 2 new requirements for being on the police. Intelligence and decency. You never can tell. It might just work. It certainly hasn't been tried yet.
It's one of these things we tell ourselves so we'll feel noble. Life is sacred. Makes you feel noble. Well, let me ask you this. If everything that ever lived is dead, and everything alive is going to die, where does the sacred part come in? I'm having trouble with that. Because, I mean, even with the stuff we preach about the sanctity of life, we don't practice it. We don't practice it. Look at what we kill. Mosquitoes and flies, because they're pests. Lions and tigers, because it's fun. Chickens and pigs, because we're hungry. Pheasants and quails, because it's fun. And we're hungry. And people, we kill people, because they're pests. And it's fun. I'm looking for. Conservatives want live babies so they can raise them to be dead soldiers. Pro-life. Pro-life. These people aren't pro-life, they're killing doctors. What kind of pro-life is that? What, they'll do anything?
Hold on. So, I gotta say something. The conservatives out there, you want people to fight for you and go to war. To the same types of individuals who say, I'm pro-God, but then send your sons or allow your sons to go off to war. What kind of pro-life shit is that? I have to agree with, I have to agree with George on this one. It makes fucking sense. Listen.
They can to save a fetus, but if it grows up to be a doctor, they just might have to kill it. They're not pro-life. You know what they are? They're anti-woman. Simple as it gets. Anti-woman. They don't like it. The children. Help the children. What about the children? Save the children. You know what I say? Fuck the children. Fuck them. They're getting entirely too much attention. And I know what you're thinking. You say, Jesus, he's not going to attack children, is he? Yes, he is. He's going to attack children. And remember, this is Mr. Conductor talking. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. And I also know all you single dads and soccer moms who think you're such fucking heroes aren't going to like this, but somebody's got to tell you for your own good, your children are overrated and overvalued. You've turned them into little cult objects. You have a child fetish, and it's not healthy. And don't give me that weak shit. Well, I love my children. Fuck you. Everybody loves their children. Doesn't make you special. Swearing on the Bible is just one more way of controlling people and keeping them in line, and it's one more thing that holds us back as a species. Here's one more item for you, the last in our civics book, rights. Boy, everyone in this country is always running around yammering about their fucking rights. I have a right, you have no right, we have a right, they don't have a right. Folks, I hate to spoil your fun, but there's no such thing as rights, okay? They're imaginary. We made them up, like the boogeyman. The Three Little Pigs, Pinocchio, Mother Goose, shit like that. Rights are an idea. They're just imaginary. They're a cute idea. Cute. But that's all. Cute and fictional. But if you think you do have rights, let me ask you this. Where do they come from? People say, well, they come from God. They're God-given rights. Oh, fuck. Here we go again. Here we go again. The God excuse. The last refuge of a man with no answers and no argument. It came from God. Anything we can't describe must have come from God. Personally, folks, I believe that if your rights came from God, he would have given you the right to some food every day, and he would have given you the right to a roof over your head. God would have been looking out for you. God would have been looking out for you. You know that? Want. Pray for anything. But what about the divine plan? Remember that? The divine plan. Long time ago, God made a divine plan. Gave it a lot of thought, decided it was a good plan, put it into practice. And for billions and billions of years, the divine plan has been doing just fine. Now you come along and pray for something. Well, suppose the thing you want isn't in God's divine plan. What do you want him to do? Change his plan? Just for you? Doesn't it seem a little arrogant? It's a divine plan. What's the use of being God if every rundown schmuck with a $2 prayer book can come along and fuck up your plan? And here's something else, another problem you might have. Suppose your prayers aren't answered. What do you say? Well, it's God's will. Thy will be done. Fine. But if it's God's will and he's going to do what he wants to anyway, why the fuck bother praying in the first place? Seems like a big waste of time to me.
Sit on your bed one day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? And if you actually ask that question, but you have to want to know the answer, right? Because that's actually what asking the question means. It doesn't mean just mouthing the words. It means you have to decide that you want to know. You'll figure that's out so fast it'll make your hair curl. There's no better pathway to self-realization and the ennoblement of being than to posit the highest good that you can conceive of and commit yourself to it. And then you might also ask yourself, and this is definitely worth asking, is do you really have anything better to do? And if you don't, well, why would you do anything else? If you orient yourself properly and then pay attention to what you do every day, that works. And I actually think that that's in accordance with what we have come to understand about human perception, because what happens is that the world shifts itself around your aim. Because you're a creature that has an aim. You have to have an aim in order to do something. You're an aiming creature. You look at a point and you move towards it. It's built right into you. And so you have an aim. Well, let's say your aim is the highest possible aim. Well then, so that sets up the world around you. It organizes all of your perceptions. It organizes what you see and you don't see. It organizes your emotions and your motivations. So you organize yourself around that aim, and then what happens is the day manifests itself as a set of challenges and problems, and if you solve them properly, then you stay on the pathway towards that aim, and you can concentrate on the day, and so that way you get to have your cake and eat it too, because you can point into the distance, the far distance, and you can live in the day. And it seems to me that that makes every moment of the day supercharged with meaning. That's how, because if everything that you're doing every day is related to the highest possible aim that you can conceptualize, well, that's the very definition of the meaning that would sustain you in your life. Well, and then the issue is, well, back to Noah. Well, all hell's about to break loose and chaos is coming. It's like when that's happening in your life, you might want to be doing something that you regard as truly worthwhile, because that's what will keep you afloat when everything is flooded. And you don't want to wait until the flood comes to start doing that, because if your ark's half built and you don't know how to captain it, the probability is very high that you'll drown. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. That sounded pretty optimistic again. But again, I think it's a description of the structure of existential reality, and by which I mean, when I'm in my clinical practice and I observe, and this is also the case with my students, is, let's say people's lives aren't what they would like them to be, and so then you ask, why? Well, forget about tragedy and catastrophe, because that's self-evident and we're not going to discuss that. Although the degree to which you bring about your own tragedy is always indeterminate. But I would never say that every terrible thing that is visited on a person is something they deserved. I think that that's a very dangerous presupposition, especially because everyone gets sick and everyone dies. But one of the main reasons that people don't get what they want is because they don't actually figure out what it is. And the probability that you're going to get what would be good for you, let's say, which would even be better than what you want, right? Because, you know, you might be wrong about what you want easily, but maybe you could get what would really be good for you. Well, why don't you? Well, because you don't try. You don't think, okay, here's what I would like if I could have it. And I don't mean in a way that you manipulate the world to force it to deliver you goods for status or something like that. That isn't what I mean. I mean something like, imagine that you were taking care of yourself like you were someone you actually cared for. And then you thought, okay, I'm caring for this person. I would like things to go as well for them as possible. What would their life have to be like in order for that to be the case? Well, people don't do that. They don't sit down and think, all right, you know, let's figure it out. You've got a life. It's hard, obviously. It's like 3 years from now, you can have what you need. You got to be careful about it. You can't have everything. You can have what would be good for you, but you have to figure out what it is, and then you have to aim at it. Well, my experience with people has been is, if they figure out what it is that would be good for them, and then they aim at it, then they get it. And it's strange because they don't it's a strange thing. It's not quite that simple, because, you know, you may formulate an idea about what would be good for you, and then you take 10 steps towards that, and you find out that your formulation was a bit off, and so you have to reformulate your goal. You know, so you're kind of going like this as you move towards the goal. But a huge part of the reason that people fail is because they don't ever set up the criteria for success. And so, since success is a very narrow line and very unlikely, the probability that you're going to stumble on it randomly is 0. And so there's a proposition here, and the proposition is, if you actually want something, you can have it. Now the question then would be, well, what do you mean by actually want? And the answer is that you reorient your life in every possible way to make the probability that that will occur as certain as possible. And that's a sacrificial idea, right? It's like, you don't get everything. Obviously. But maybe you can have what you need. And maybe all you have to do to get it is ask. But the asking isn't a whim or today's wish. It's like you have to be deadly serious about it. You have to think, okay, like I'm taking stock of myself. And if I was going to live properly in the world and I was going to set myself up such that being would justify itself in my estimation, and I don't mean as a harsh judge, exactly what is it that I would aim at? And so the issue is not so much the blindness of others, even though there's as much blindness among others as there is for you. But the issue here, the advice here, the description here is you should be concerned about what's interfering with your own vision first. And you should leave other people the hell alone in relationship to that. And so if your mode of being in the world is, if you would just act better, things would improve for me, or if you identify the evil and the catastrophe as something that's outside, that someone else needs to fix, or that someone else is responsible for, then you're not going to fix that. And you're going to remain blind to the things that you're doing and not doing that make things not go well. And so it's just better to think, all right, I'm probably blind in many, many ways. And maybe there are some ways that I could rectify that, because it's highly probable that you're blind in all sorts of ways. I mean, in fact, it's virtually certain. And so it's just more useful to think, how is it that I'm wrong in this situation? I'll tell you something that I learned to do when I was arguing with my wife, which happened quite frequently, because when you actually communicate with people, you find out that there's many things that you don't agree on. And that's because you're actually different creatures. And so if you're actually going to have a truthful conversation, then you're going to find out that you don't see things the same way. And then you can either pretend that that's not the case and gloss over it and then end up in a 30-year silent war, or you can have the damn fight when you need to have it and see if you can straighten it out. So now and then we'd get in a situation where we were at loggerheads, we couldn't move, and you know, it would spiral up into hate speech, let's say, because yeah, everyone laughs because they know they manifest plenty of hate speech towards those they love. So one of the things we learned to do was, when we hit an impasse, was to separate and to go our own ways and to go sit and think, okay, look, we're at this unpleasant situation. We can't figure out how to move forward. I'd always think, of course it's her fault. Obviously it's her fault. At least 95%. But maybe there was something I did that contributed like 5% to it. If you do what it is that you're called upon to do, which is to lift your eyes up above the mundane, daily, selfish, impulsive issues that might beset you, and attempt to enter into a contractual relationship with that which you might hold in the highest regard, whatever that might be, to aim high and to make that important above all else in your life, that fortifies you against the vicissitudes of existence like nothing else can. And I truly believe that that's the most practical advice that you could possibly receive. The way that you fortify your faith in life is to assume the best, something like that, and then to act courageously in relationship to that. And that's tantamount to expressing your faith in the highest possible good. It's tantamount to expressing your faith in God. And it's not a matter of stating, well, I believe in the existence of a transcendent deity, because in some sense, who cares what you believe? I mean, you might and all that, but that's not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue, it seems to me, is how you act. The issue is not what you believe as if it's a set of facts, but how you conduct yourself in the world. The purpose of thinking is to let your thoughts die instead of you. It's a brilliant notion. And so the idea is something like, you can conjure up a representation of yourself. You can conjure up a variety of potential representations of yourself in the future. You can lay out how those future representations of yourself are likely to prevail or fail. You can cull the potential yous in the future that will fail, and then you can embody the ones that will succeed. You do that well simultaneously conjuring up a representation of your current state and determining for yourself, because of your undue suffering, which elements of your pathetic being need to be given up so that you can move forward into that future. And the goal, what is it that you're aiming at with that work and that sacrifice? That's the ultimate question. What is it that you're trying to do? Well, you're trying to improve the future. We believe that the future can be improved. We believe that it can be improved as a consequence of our sacrificial work. And so, once again, what are the limitations? What are the limits to that? What are the necessary limits to that? I would say we don't know. We conjured up this remarkable idea. The future exists. We can see it even though it's only potential. We can adjust our behavior in the present in order to maximize our probability of success in the future. How best to do that? Well, the idea is something like, don't hesitate to offer the ultimate sacrifice if you want the future to turn out ultimately well. What is it that you could contract for, let's say, if you were willing to give up everything about you that's weak and unworthy? The proper sacrificial attitude produces a psychological state and then a social state that's a manifestation of that attitude that decreases the probability that the world will careen into hell and increases the probability that people will live high quality, meaningful, private lives in a society that's balanced and capable of supporting that. And none of that seems to me to be questionable, really. I also don't think it's anything that people don't actually know. You know, people have told me many times that when they listen to me talk, they're hearing things that they already knew but didn't know how to say. It's something like that. And this is one of those things that I think is exactly like that. I mean, I think it's at the very core of our moral knowledge, which is our behavioral knowledge and our perceptual knowledge. I mean, let's get this straight. Moral knowledge is no trivial matter. It's knowledge about how it is that you orient yourself in the world. There's no more profoundly necessary form of knowledge. Well, it's predicated on something that's exactly like this. We know that we have to make sacrifices. We know that we have to aim at what's good. So then why isn't that we don't aim at what's best and make the sacrifices that are necessary in order to bring that into play? I think it seems to me that in some sense,
and in from his aspect or from that video, it's Jordan Peterson. He's a psychologist from a former professor in Canada. I just spoke about this. Why is it that people don't do more? For example, going to use a BLM thing. If you really wanted your lives to matter, why wouldn't you go to the very tip-toppy part of the pyramid, if you will? You know, have you guys visualize on this, and that's the way to graph things out, is look at things, interpret things. But why wouldn't you go to the very tip-top of the tower, we'll say? Why not just go to that length or that level? It seems like people hold themselves back a hell of a lot when they want things to happen for themselves. And then they won't actually go the extra mile. That they won't actually go the extra mile to get things done. Especially from that point on, for how things have been, or what things have become, for how things have panned out, like I say, like equal out, if you will. There are a lot of people that don't like how I speak. I say, you know, fuck them. If they don't like how I speak, that's them. But there are a lot of people who could do with a great amount of knowledge, and I see them struggling. And they push for a cause. They're in an organization, and I get this competitive nature, this sort of way to act on things, because, and you could even say that it's defensive, but because of what they're used to doing, or what they have been going on with, time and time again to say that, like, for example, the Black Lives Matter thing. It's like, well, are you really challenging yourselves as individuals if you're going to group yourself together? That to me seems like it's conformity. You know, you could say the same thing about the city thing, but it's an idea. Should I not provide ideas? I think that more people need to provide ideas so that you can have more solutions to problems. I think if you want to go far, I would say, I don't even have to think on it, I would say that you need to go far in life. Then you need to act on step by step to what needs to happen to get to that point in your life as a goal to achieve and to make progress towards. You get nothing, and I've said this before on many different live streams and on social media, but it's a little quote that I've kind of created. But you get nothing out of life when you do nothing, and you get something out of life when you do something. Long story short of it is this: if you care so deeply about something and you put all of your time and effort into it, why not go the extra mile to make it a possibility in the best ways possible for the future? Challenge yourself, challenge your brain, challenge your moral ethics, your morality, and challenge your intelligence. That's the way forward. America is very dumb and dim-witted because we don't look and think outside of the box a bit more often times than not. We have very good logical thinkers, but we don't have people who are fundamentalists as much, or that tend to have a creative mindset and think outside of the box as much. So there's something to behold in all of that. There's some experience that you can gain listening to people such as myself and others, and to really take into consider the message behind, whether it be the man with the voice or the music that you listen to, or the man or woman in the music that you have been listening to dissect that information, so to speak, and to really get into that. It's great. It's quite great. And it will help you out in the long run as a person, as a human being, to grow and to comprehend that maybe life isn't all that bad after all. Maybe there are things you can take away from it and to take out of it and utilize in the best ways possible. And set yourself on a fast track at a pace to success by being goal-oriented. So, I'm gonna go since I got nobody in here with me. No one really chilling out and watching me. I haven't seen anybody watching me. No viewers, nobody messaging me or leaving any comments. So, I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see you guys later, hopefully. Maybe another live stream. I might do another live stream here for gaming, and I might title it World of Warcraft Retail. We'll play that the next time around. Other than that, I'm gonna exit my game here, so I'm gonna end the live stream, and then I'll see you guys later, hopefully. And we'll talk a little bit more about life and politics and decisions and goals and whatnot. most likely I'll continue off on a lot of the same things I was speaking about earlier this morning. We'll go ahead and I'm in Central Standard Time. So, thank you guys for stopping me. And good morning, early morning. Or, if you're on West Coast, and good night. God bless you all. Take care of yourself. Stay straight. Don't do drugs. Watch out for what's going on around you. Peace out, scouts.